The face of the news is changing. When someone mentions the news, most people think of newspapers and the news channels on TV. However, a new study conducted by the Pew Research Center found that 63% of Twitter and Facebook users use the same platforms to serve as their main source of news. So what are these Twitter and Facebook users looking at? According to the same study, users reported seeing crime articles more frequently than articles about national government, business, or sports. In the last few years, America has seen a drastic influx of crime. According to NeighborhoodScout.com, in Davenport alone, your chances of becoming a victim of violent crimes is 1 in 156. WQuad.com lists the Quad Cities as some of the most dangerous areas to live in both Iowa and Illinois, with Davenport ranked third. Bettendorf was also ranked among the top 10. The textbook Mass Communication Theory defines agenda-setting theory by stating that the media don't tell people what to think, but what to think about. When a subject is seen frequently in the news, the audience views it as more important. From seeing the most recent influx in crime, does this necessarily mean that more people are committing crimes? Recent research done by the New York Daily News shows that 22% of inmates have committed a crime inspired by one they saw in the media. If violent crimes were the muse to so many inmates, what does this say about the media that published these articles? According to the textbook Mass Communication Theory, social responsibility theory says that the press should engage in the truth. The media shouldn't do things that cause bad behavior. If we follow this strand of reasoning, should more violent crimes be censored in the media? According to the Quad City Time Courts and Cops reporter Tara Becker, it's not always about censoring the crimes themselves.
If you are presented with a gruesome story, would you censor it or not censor it?
Well, I don't really like to use the word censorship. Obviously, we want to be sensitive. We want to be able to tell the story, but we also don't want to shock our readers.
But is being sympathetic to your readers the only issue? News sources are regulated by different rules and guidelines. Newspapers by the ANSE Statement of Principles, who posted these articles. Lead news anchor and reporter for KWQC TV6 News, Gary Mativier.
And as journalists, that's our job. Our job is to report the news, but try to give it some perspective too, and try to find out what's going on and why. Censor's a tough word. Our job is a bit of a filter, if you will, which some could call censor. I mean, everybody looks at news, and you have to evaluate it based on what it is. You can play it up, you can sensationalize a story and make it seem much worse than it is, all in the word choice and the way you present the story. And I ask my reporters every day, what's the other side of the story? Did we talk to people that feel a different way? Well, I talked to 8 people and they all felt the same way. Okay, then let's say that. Most of the people we talk to say this. But we have a job to do, and that's to give you all sides of the story. Similarly, though, we do filter to some extent of what we think may or may not be accurate, because sometimes you get information that is just not verifiable or not right. And if you know for a fact that something did not happen that way, or a police officer tells you, oh, that stuff's really iffy, then we have to filter to some extent, if you can, or at least present it to the people in a way that they can question and weigh for themselves what the importance is. But our job is to put it all out there the best we can.
Do you think those that are more educated comment on stories from sites like the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal rather than Facebook or Twitter?
Probably so, but what's interesting about that is, and let's go to the Facebook part, because many of these comments can be anonymous, or we have so many comments to so many news stories, and so many of which we have to actually take off because they include profanities or people just being extremely mean-spirited. You'd be surprised at how mean-spirited people can be on a story of a little boy that died, and the people will say, those stupid parents, they deserve what they get, or that kid's lucky to be out of that situation, or his life was going to be screwed anyway. You're like, wow, the stuff that they would not say face-to-face to you, but they would post somewhere, and most of it anonymously, which is unfortunate too, or under some pseudonym or whatever. But now if you go to New York Times or you go to Wall Street Journal, I mean, most of those people are pretty informed. They're going there specifically for in-depth stories, and they do have strong opinions. It doesn't mean their opinions are right. It means they have an opinion. Everybody's, obviously has their own opinion.
An article posted to the Quad City Times Facebook page on October 12th shows the backlash even nonviolent articles can face. The article was written about local schools needing to hold shooting drills in light of recent rise in crime. But with comments like these coming in on news stories across all social media forms, should these platforms be able to restrict the comments posted on news articles? Lifelong Davenport resident Max Moline says no.
I don't really. As stupid as it sounds and as vile and awful as they can be down there, we're in America. We're a land that relies on free speech. We crave it. It's one of the few things we had coming into this country. And even if people say stupid things or hateful things or vile things, they have the right to say them. It doesn't excuse them from what happens afterwards, and if they get called out on being idiots and look like fools, so be it. But you have the right to say and think what you want. I don't think people should be censored just because they have ideas that may not be the most popular.
In a world where the face of news is always changing, don't let it change your mind. The next time you see a crime article circulating social media, make sure you think before you comment. Before you comment, form an opinion, check your sources, and know how your words will affect others.